It's Fill Your Plate Now, where every bite brings you closer to the farm gate and further from what's unhealthy. Now here's your hosts, Julie and Tammy, helping you live well by filling your plate well.
Hello. So we have a returning guest. She was gracious enough to say yes to us when we asked her to return, and that's Valerie Halsey Ibarra. She's our wine consultant, an expert in wine pairing and wine tasting. You met her, and we told you a lot about her the last episode, so we're going to kind of a briefer introduction. But Valerie, thank you so much for coming back, and I'm so excited about this. There's no way I'm even going to come close to your expertise.
That's okay.
But Tammy and I are going to learn a lot.
We are going to learn a lot, and it's kind of fun having a tasting and learning session all in one. Last time you gave us so much information on wine, and this time we're really looking forward to learning a little bit more about all of the wines that are local wines here in Arizona, which is so hard to believe that we have such an abundance of wines grown right here in Arizona. And then we're going to talk a little bit about cheese pairing with the wines.
Yes, we would be coming up short if we didn't highlight the cheeses. I think you brought 5 different cheeses, right?
Yes, I think there are 6 different cheeses.
Six.
Close.
So this is going to be quite exciting. And before we dig into it, one of the other things that we wanted to highlight, so Arizona has 3 AVAs, correct?
Correct.
The Verde Valley, Wilcox, and Sonoyta. Not all of the Arizona wines that we're going to feature today are coming from Wilcox, but the fact that 85% of the wine grapes that are grown in Arizona are coming from Wilcox, important thing to know. And the Wilcox AVA is at 4,000 to 5,500 foot elevation. Each one of these AVAs, by the way, are very distinct and unique, different soils, stuff like that. Exactly. The soil in Wilcox is mostly loam, sand, silt, and smaller amounts of clay. And we're going to be excited about that. So, Valerie, tell us a little bit about so this is a little bit more, I'm definitely going to learn a lot. It's a little bit more complicated, but how does one prepare if they know that they're going to go to the Wilcox AVA or the Verde Valley or Sonoyta? How do they prepare for a tasting, or is there anything to prepare, or you just go and have fun?
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you for having me back. We had so much fun last time. I'm very pleased to be invited back to share this time with you and talk about wine and cheese, and introduce you to some of the wineries that you may or may not know. And maybe your viewers can learn something along the way and help prepare them if they're interested in a wine tour. So, first of all, I would say it kind of depends on what your focus is. If you want to have a good time, you can just go and get in your car and drive and go and have fun. You'll see a lot, you'll learn a lot, you'll taste great wine, and there are some really lovely restaurants along the way as well. But if you're very focused and you want to maximize your experience, first of all, I would definitely do a little planning ahead of time. I would check the websites for these wineries and see if they require. If you want to do an in-depth tasting of their wines, or maybe flights of wine, or several vintages of the same wine, I would definitely plan ahead and check their website, make reservations for the tasting, and you may also want to make reservations in their regional restaurants, or a few of them have restaurants that are attached or part of their winery. And also plan on where you're going to stay, because wine tasting and traveling, touring, coming back to the valley, if you're coming from the valley or Tucson to Wilcox or Sonoyta, you definitely want to plan.
To me, based on what you just said, it's almost a function of how, like, if you really want to discover the Arizona wines, then you should do a little bit of preparing if you want to discover them and know what you really like. So
Right.
that, okay.
Right. Have a plan.
And
Have
would-
a plan.
Yeah, and with these wineries, would you recommend a full array of wines to taste? Are all wines available? Sparkling, white, reds? I mean, would you? I know you've planned a nice tasting for us today, but would you recommend doing that if you're going through the wineries?
Well, typically, wineries only have certain things available for tasting. And it also depends on the winery, and it also depends what their level of inventory is. So, again, if you plan ahead and you want to be very focused, then I would definitely check their website and reach out to their tasting room and see what advice they give you
Okay.
for starters.
Go ahead.
And then I would also add, like, to help you define that focus, if you have something that you like, if you have grape varieties that you like, if you have wines that you like, then do a little bit of investigating if you're interested. And I presume you're interested because you're going on a wine trip or a wine tour, and it's fun. See what the local producers of wines in the area you're going to, what they make, what kind of wines they have, if they're single varietals, which we tried to have mostly where they were available, single variety wines, because you get the real essence of the grape and the place and the winemaker.
And when you say single variety wines, you're speaking of that glass contains just one
Grape.
wine grape.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not a blend.
It's not a blend.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so, okay, the next question is, what should we be looking for? Are we dealing with aroma, texture, finish? This is what you're going to teach us today, kind of, sort of, right?
And all of the terminology, like what
Yes.
spicy really means, or fruity, or how to
sparkling,
identify, yes,
Right.
the different flavors.
So today I thought it would be fun, and I set it up to be, a somewhat formal tasting. Each glass has a different wine in it. We have 7 glasses, and when wine professionals do a wine tasting, the first thing that we always look for is appearance. And you can tell just in the 3 whites and the 4 reds that we have here, the color varies significantly. And that tells you a little bit about the grape or the age or how it's been made, if it has oak content or not. And those are things that once you smell the wine, you start to unravel the package, what's in your glass. We're peeling the layers back of an onion to get to the core. And then we talk about the structure, the balance. Is it complex? Does it have a nice finish? Is it fresh? Is it refreshing? Do you want another sip? All these things, if you think about them, really lend to your experience of tasting and enjoying wine. And you don't have to do that all the time. I certainly don't do it all the time. Sometimes I just pop a cork and pour a glass and go, oh, this is lovely. And you enjoy it. And you don't overthink it. But when you want to overthink it because you're getting to the bottom of something, and we're exploring today. We are looking for something that's out there in Arizona that every state in the union produces wine, but there are a few states that really excel. And I think Arizona's one of them.
Now, when you talk about complex wines, are those the wines that need to be decanted, or in what situations do you decant a wine?
When I talk about a complex wine, I'm approaching it more from, is there balance? Is there acidity? Is there structure to hold up the front palate, the mid palate, and the finish? Those type of things, for me, they lend itself, and I call that complex because it ticks all the boxes. Mm-hmm. If I have a really nice wine, but it's just like lacking something right in the middle of my mouth, like kind of on the middle of my tongue, I think, okay, it has a nice front mouthfeel, and a finish is good, but there's just something lacking, and that's the body of the wine usually. When you talk about decanting is, there's basically 3 reasons you'd want to decant a wine. You have a very aged wine, and over time, as wine sits, it develops. The sediments kind of fall out and they settle on the bottom of your bottle if they're upright, on the side if you're storing them properly with the wine in contact with your cork. And you want to separate those sediments from an aged wine. So you decant it and you stop right before all the sediment goes into, like the last glass, for instance. Mm-hmm. Another reason to decant wine is you want to hyper aerate it and oxygenate it so that it comes alive. Like if it's very, very tight in the bottle and it's like, ooh, there's just something there.
Right.
Then you can decant aggressively. So we slowly decant an old wine. We aggressively decant a wine that we want to aerate and give some aeration to.
I love that.
And the other reason you decant wine is for show, because you like your decanter.
You have the pretty
it's
decanter.
pretty.
Okay.
You want to use it and you go for it.
I love it.
That's great. That's great. Very interesting.
So let's explore these Arizona wines.
Okay. So jumping into the first wine, and by the way, I'll also say we have this light colored, almost white, not quite, matte down below, because when we observe our wine and we look at it for the appearance.
Love that.
Yeah, that was unintentional, but
I love it.
It sounds good, doesn't it? We always tip our glass a little bit.
We're gonna
and
follow you.
You can see, you've got a nice light background and you see everything that's in your glass.
Oh, okay.
So it's and you can see that slight little effervescence that's in this glass.
Mm-hmm.
So without even knowing that, I told you this was semi-sparkling wine or sparkling wine.
From Garage East.
From Garage East. It is their green wine.
Mm-hmm.
And we noticed that there's some bubbles in it. So we know it's going to be effervescent. It's very, very light colored. And with that, we expect it to be very fresh, very young, not knowing the grapes, very bright acidity, and a real food-friendly wine, cheese-friendly wine.
Is that why it's called a green wine? Because it is
Young.
Young?
It's young,
Okay.
yeah. As you can tell, it's not green.
Okay. I got that part, but I wasn't sure about the others.
And there are some regions in the world
And that's this one.
that call themselves the green region. For instance, of Spain, they have a green region. And that's where they have a lot of cool climates, the soils, there's a lot of wind, it's very, very cool. Mm-hmm. And grapes don't really ripen all that well. So this is the style of the wine, and it's fantastic.
So,
It's a lovely quaff. So we look at it and we draw some conclusions that it's going to be very refreshing.
awesome.
Yes. So
Okay, what's next?
let's have a smell.
I love this part. Mm-hmm. So we literally stick our snout.
Yeah, give it a slight little swirl because that's going to release some of the aromas.
Okay. I smelled the difference by doing that. Okay.
Anything stand out that you smelled?
Smells fruity.
Fruity. Can you narrow it down? Maybe like some Granny Smith apple.
It smelled like apples.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if that's because we just talked about green and all I'm picturing is green apples. I know.
It does smell like apples.
Well, one of the points that Julie and I were talking about several months ago, I guess, was how do you actually develop a vocabulary, a library of wine terms, things that you can remember and place with wines. And the best thing that I can suggest is, first of all, practice. Taste a lot of wine, but also write notes. And if people like to be told, what am I smelling in here? That's when I will suggest things. But me personally, when I go to taste wine somewhere that I've never been before, I don't want people telling me.
Oh.
I want to come to my own conclusions. I understand they're trying to sell a product, and I get that. But until I get the sign from somebody, it's like, oh, this is interesting. What is, describe this wine to me. That's my open door to go barging right into it.
So we have looked at it. We've
smelled it.
What is next?
Tasting.
Tasting. Okay.
And we have these lovely little bright blue spitting cups because we've got a lot of wines to taste through.
We were wondering what to call them, but you eloquently called them spitting cups.
Spitting cups,
Yes.
exactly. And I would also suggest, because we haven't tasted wine yet today, that your palate is not quite neutral enough probably, whether you've been drinking coffee or tea or whatever. Just have a sip and spit it into your cup, and that kind of primes your palate.
So of the wine.
Of the wine.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For those that are just going to listen to this episode, we literally, but Valerie taught us how to spit in a cup ladylike.
You have to do it.
Okay, so, and literally no
yeah.
swallowing on that. I just,
Yeah, so
Little
that was
swished it around
that was
my
just
mouth?
a swish around. But even
Okay.
even that swishing and priming your palate, we don't have to do this for every wine. This is kind of the
Okay.
first wine. Even then, you can already taste.
yeah, I'm already feeling.
Yeah, and one
Freshness,
of the things, a highly acidic wine is going to
Yep.
make your mouth water more. Mm-hmm. Like my mouth is already watering.
Right.
Yeah, and I'm thinking, oh yeah, I want to go back for another sip because it's very juicy. It's fresh. It's
That's interesting. It does make your mouth water.
okay. So go back for your real sip and swish it around. You know, draw some air over your tongue
Okay.
if you are so inclined.
So if we gurgle and you hear swishing for our listeners.
I'm sorry, I am a.
Uh-oh, I swallowed. And it tasted really good.
That's perfectly fine.
I've got to be
That's
careful.
perfectly
There's way
fine.
too many glasses
I know.
to swallow each time.
Okay, but it was a little
Hey,
sip.
one sip out of each glass is not going to kill
Yeah,
you.
it's not going to mess.
Besides, we have cheese and crackers too. So
That's right.
Well, on that point, you said cheese and crackers for a wine like this, Tammy. I got a vibe that your sparkling wines, we get a lighter cheese. Would that be your Asiago?
Probably the Asiago of these.
Okay.
But what would you recommend? Would you recommend a heavier or lighter cheese?
you can go two ways. You can contrast, or you can complement.
Okay.
So it doesn't work with all, but with acidity, it's going to, a high acidic wine is going to make anything with acidity taste less acidic.
Okay.
And the saltiness, it's also going to cut down the saltiness
Okay.
of a cheese or a food, a dish.
Huh. And we have a number of domestic cheeses. We have cheddar, we have Asiago, we have Swiss, blue, Gouda, and pepper jack. Any
Yes.
preference?
Well, like you said, I would suggest maybe the Asiago.
Okay.
Give it a try with the Asiago.
And we're sampling this.
That does go well together.
I'm loving it. So, what's next, Valerie?
Well, you can either try it with another cheese and see what your conclusions are, or we can move on to the next
That was
wine.
just really a good sparkling wine. What else would you say about it? Just out of fun, like for you, because is this the first time you've tried this Garagi sparkling green?
I've tried their green wine before. I have not tried this vintage, or I have not tried it lately, but green wines are, and I just expect that it's very similar to the other green wines that they've made. They're just like a really nice sipping wine.
They seem like a good summer wine, very light.
Yes.
Very nice for the patio, enjoying when you're on your floaty in the pool.
Yes.
Yeah.
I can envision it now.
For a barbecue.
Yeah. That would be very nice.
Awesome. Okay.
So
I'm feeling it. I'm
Okay.
really feeling it.
let's move on to the next wine.
Okay.
This is from Chateau Tumbleweed. It is called the Descendants. It is a blend.
Okay.
Did
One
I-
of the few blends in this lineup,
One
right?
of the few blends in this lineup, correct. We have 2 blends. Some of the other wines show up in this blend.
How many different
Oh.
types of grapes go into a blend?
It depends.
Doesn't-
Yeah,
It
doesn't
totally
really-
depends on
yeah.
the winemaker and the style. And
Okay.
Chateau Tumbleweed is very creative. They have, if you can see from their label, it is the second one in from the right.
This one right here.
One of the owners, she does all of the artwork for their labels, and they have really fun names.
Yes.
All
I've
of all
noticed
of their
that with
wines
theirs.
have really fun names, and so they have proprietary blends.
So if they have a blend, are they going to use the same formula basically every time for that particular wine? That
Ooh, tough question. I mean, I'm not a winemaker and I'm not them, but the whole purpose of blends, going back to Bordeaux, is to accommodate vintage variation.
okay,
So
that makes sense.
in Bordeaux, for instance, there's 5 main grapes, 3 prominent and 2 somewhat lesser. And depending on what happens that vintage, they'll maybe up the proportions of one over the other. So I'm not sure if they do that in this case or if it's just something if they make the Descendants year in and year out, I would assume that they're trying to make it as seamless as possible.
Okay.
And so they would just play around with the percentages and probably the same grapes. But again, I'm not sure.
One thing I have heard about the blends here in Arizona, and it's partly because of what you just described, like what's coming off and everything. But they've been very successful with how they blend. That's what one of the winemakers told me. So I guess it's just willingness to try and to be creative, like a word you used earlier about the winemakers blending it.
Well, I think, honestly, to be a winemaker, you're an artist,
Right.
first and foremost. And it's an incredible accomplishment and task to take something that has been grown out of the ground and evolve it into these beautiful elixirs of the god, as they call
Yeah.
them in wine speak. But it's just such a beautiful product. And to manipulate all the things that they have to do, deal with weather
Right.
and the myriad of tasks and roadblocks and obstacles that go along in every single vintage, I'm just in awe of them. I think they're amazing.
I do too. Now, so I'm trying to follow the same order. I looked at it.
Yeah,
It's beautiful.
Look
It's clear.
it's clear and also very light.
Yeah, and I was going to say and then I jumped
Especially-
ahead. I hope you don't think I jumped ahead.
No, not at all.
I saw you drinking that. No. Sneaking a sip.
no.
Yeah, no.
When you go,
This is softer. I want to say softer. It's or
yeah,
lighter.
I
It's
don't
lighter.
smell as
it's not quite
definite of
It's,
a
it has more of a
smell.
shy nose, definitely.
But it's
shy
still
nose. I'm writing that term down. That's a good one.
yeah, a shy
Shy
note.
nose.
I like that one, shy note. But it's still it's still fruity to me.
Mm-hmm.
But come on, Tammy, what fruit do you
It's just
It's
very
really-
light. It's almost more perfumey to me
Yes.
than
It's also floral and perfumey as well, because one of
Okay.
the grapes that in this blend, the Viognier, is very floral, perfumey.
Oh, okay.
And I love Viognier.
And maybe that's why we feel the softness and elegance of it.
Yes, it is a very silky, elegant wine, and the acids are there, but they're not first and foremost in your
They don't-
palate. And
Yeah.
jumping off, generally, when something is very acidic, when there's the high acidity in a wine, as opposed to acidic gives it a negative connotation. That's not at all what we're looking for here or talking about. We're talking about just the acidity in the wine. you're going to smell things right off the bat, like citrus peel and very high citrus. Like if you even go back to this, lemon peel,
Right.
lime peel kind of come out.
stronger.
Whereas this is very, as you said, this is very soft, very elegant.
So should we try it now?
For a second time.
I think it's her third. No,
Absolutely.
Just kidding.
Let's taste. Do you notice how the mouthfeel is much rounder? It's kind
I
of
did take another swig.
it doesn't make your
kind
mouth
of
water.
It
like the
kind of
other one.
coats your mouth.
Right. It does.
And it has like a slightly fuller body. So the complexity is going up. Very refreshing and fun. We're getting a little bit more complex here but that's also to do with various grapes that are in there. They're each lending something to this blend, which is very enjoyable, very quaffable.
Yes. And the cheeses here are Gouda, feta, pepper jack, Swiss. We have did we bring a Swiss or did we not?
There is Swiss.
I thought we did. So let's try the Swiss with that.
There is a Swiss. The pepper jack may even go with this.
Oh.
Don't know.
But
Almost too bland with it.
it is sort of a little bit. But that's a really good.
Try the pepper jack.
I just tried that. It
Okay.
seems like it would.
Yeah,
Blend better.
I tried the pepper jack and not the Swiss because I had it in my hand.
No, I like that better.
So
it complements each other, like you were saying.
The spiciness of the cheese is being softened a bit by the wine because the wine is rounder and fuller.
You're right, sister. I love that one.
The pepper jack?
Right.
It's good.
It's a better contrast. But what a beautiful wine.
It is lovely, isn't it?
It's wonderful. And it's like all of these are in the lineup, Arizona wines. So do we move on?
Yes,
Teacher?
absolutely. Yes. So as you can see in our progression, we are getting darker in color. And so that could be grape. That could be how they've made the wine. It could have seen some oak.
Oh, sure.
And it could be the age of the wine. But
So this is Pierce
Pierce?
Sauvignon Blanc.
Sauvignon Blanc, and it's 2024. And we know that. I mean, these are things that you look at when you're tasting blind or you don't know what wine it is necessarily. We know that this is a 2024. So
Now, if you were judging, you would only get probably the vintage year, the vintage, or okay, so you get nothing.
nothing. Unless,
Wow.
okay, so the Arizona Wine Growers Competition, you have categories.
Okay.
So it would be a category of Sauv Blanc, for instance.
okay.
And then you're being judged against other Sauvignon Blancs.
Wonderful.
And that's
Okay.
that's one way of doing it.
But you know nothing else.
You know nothing else. No, you do not know the vintage. You do not know the producer. You don't know what AVA it's from. You just know the grape.
That's
So Pierce, they have a neat history here. They're a family that's been doing wines for some time. And Michael Pierce,
Michael Pierce.
the son, was even, I don't know if he's still leading it, but the Yavapai Wine College.
I don't know if he's leading it
No.
now either.
But
But he did for a long time, and he
Right.
really made that program take off.
and the family is just super, and they're going to be the group of 6 winemakers that I'm interviewing for Arizona Farm Bureau's Talk to a Farmer,
Oh,
Talk to a
nice.
Rancher Friday. It'll be Michael and his dad.
Okay.
So
His dad is the vineyard manager, or is he also in the winery?
Probably. I'm not sure. I'll find that out.
Yeah, because I believe this is their vineyard, Rolling View Vineyard.
Okay.
So not only is this single varietal, this is single vineyard.
Okay.
So we're getting very specific. And the grapes aren't just Wilcox. They're one vineyard. Sometimes, for instance, when you look at the blend on the back of the Descendants bottle, it is very, very specific. Most labels don't.
This one?
No, the one to your left. This.
Oh, that's right. Okay, it's right in front of me. Right in front of me.
Does it not state
Yeah,
the vineyards that it come from?
42%, and I can't even.
Picot
Blanc, Dos Amigas Vineyard, Cochise County, and then it's 32%
Roussan,
16%,
Viognier.
and then
That's that nice floral.
5% Viognier, and then 5% Grenache. So yeah, it's very specific, and then it also identifies, which is way cool, identifies the vineyard.
The vineyard. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So we've looked at it. It's beautiful. It's a deeper color.
It's a deeper color. So
This is also softer. Seems a little bit.
So the first thing that you smell, I smell, you smell. What is it?
I'm going to say, I don't.
Tasted it, and I tasted
you're
bananas.
accusing me.
I tasted bananas, but
That's doing good.
That's fantastic.
Oh, is there bananas? No,
No.
I didn't think so.
But the banana has something to do with the vinification.
Oh.
And don't ask me, don't get me into it, because I said I'm not a winemaker, but the banana, I believe it has to do with some carbonic maceration. But
Maybe kiwi? How come I
don't
smell
quote
kiwi?
me on it.
What do you?
Very interesting
What do you smell?
taste.
Well, right off the bat, I get a very herbaceous, grassy note.
Oh.
Fruit's not the first thing. It's there, but it's grassy to me. And
Okay.
that's one of my indicators that it's Sauvignon Blanc. I already know it's Sauvignon Blanc, so it's a little bit of a
You're
helping
cheating
hand.
a little bit.
I'm a cheat sheet. But
Okay, so now that you say that, I'm gonna. Yeah, I feel that.
and sometimes it really helps to talk to people who have a developed palate.
Yeah.
And when people are studying for their wine certifications or wine competitions, they usually have study groups, and they all talk back of. They'll taste wines, they'll discuss it, they'll pick it apart, they'll just they want to know everything about it, and that also helps you develop your vocabulary, puts things in your memory bank like the Shinos, things like that you can recall when you're tasting wine and say, "Oh yeah, I remember that. I think this tastes like that."
So you are so knowledgeable about all of this. How long does it take to even just have a baseline knowledge? I know I see things like, there's sommeliers, there's wine masters, there's short certifications. How do those all differ? I mean,
It depends on your goal. Court of Masters is generally for people in the restaurant industry. And it's very, very specific for service and stewardship. The Society of Wine Educators and the Wine Spirit Education Trust, they offer entry-level programs that if you're just interested, you can take a fun weekend. Maybe in a month you go on a Saturday for, four classes or whatever. And it's very informative and educational. And honestly, that's how I started. And you just like, oh,
When you discover.
I really like this.
Yeah.
And then you keep going.
So I did taste the Sauvignon Blanc, and I did taste that kind of earthy, light grassy, and I love it.
So again, that nice round mouthfeel.
Right.
We're kind of building on that as we go.
And what about
And the acidity's there. Like it's making my mouth water, making me want to go back for another sip. That's when I say, oh yeah,
okay?
nice wine, I like it.
And the cheese.
Okay, so typically, I have to say this because it's just standard. I know we're milk producers of cows in this show, but that is like a killer pairing for goat cheese.
Oh, okay.
If you can find,
It is dairy. It's just different form of dairy.
it's just dairy. Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
there are fetas that are
Yeah.
cow based. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Cow milk based.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Yeah. So something that's very tangy that matches with the tanginess
okay.
of the Sauvignon Blanc is a perfect pairing. But if you want to go beyond cheese, this is where a vegetable dish, a ratatouille,
And
which is a vegetable stew.
oh, wow.
I wouldn't have thought of ratatouille because of the tomatoey type base
But
in
think
ratatouille.
of tomatoes. They have a lot of acidity. So the acidity is there for both components. Acidity in the wine and the acidity in the tomato.
Interesting.
And then, but let's just imagine we have this breadth of cheeses. What would be a fun one to try with the Sauvignon Blanc?
I'm going to go back to the Asiago.
Okay.
Why don't you try that with the Asiago?
I think
It was
it's
a good
good.
mix, yeah.
I liked
It
it.
was a good mix. It was all very mild,
Mm-hmm.
but it was a good mix.
Balanced each other out.
Is balanced. Nothing really stood out.
Right. So tell us about, we're on a tasting. We're learning so much. The more we plan, if we really want to get into understanding our Arizona wines, tell me about the type of crackers and what we use them for. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I want you to tell us.
Well, crackers are a great palate cleanser.
Okay.
So particularly, this is when I would suggest, all right, we're moving on to our next wine is going to be red. It's a nice break, a nice segue in between flights or a totally different style of wine. For instance, now we're going into reds, but if you had a dessert wine in this flight, which we don't, but if you did, that's not something that you would say. If you had it at the end, you would say, oh yeah, I need to have a cracker.
Right.
For instance, I'll just give you an example. At the last Arizona Wine Growers Competition, there was a wine in a flight that was a sweet style, but it wasn't in a category of sweet wines.
Wow.
So in order for me to give it a fair judging, I had a cracker and cleansed my palate and just said, okay, like I have to. And it was a really, really nice wine. The residual sugar was just so high that you're not expecting that necessarily. And then all of a sudden you get hit. It's like, oh, okay.
And so you were glad that you had cleaned your palate before. So we're doing the right thing as we enter the realm of the reds. The realm of the reds.
The realm of the reds.
And the
Sounds
other
like a
thing
movie.
for our listeners, if you see this, and we'll have it in the subject description, if you see this and you really want to purchase a variety of Arizona wines and test this, some whites, some reds, and for our listeners, if you're listening and not watching, those moments when we're tasting it and trying it, you do the same. Try sipping it, try it with a chosen cheese, and see how your experience. So you can basically be doing this as we're doing this.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
that's what makes it
And
fun.
I find it surprising which cheeses and wine, like the
Right.
pepper
And
jack, going with a light
I
wine,
know.
right? And tasted great together.
And that was your pairing. You're natural.
I get lucky once in a while.
Okay, so talk to us about this next, and this is the first of the reds.
This is the first of the reds. And this is Rune Grenache 2021. They did not have anything on their website about this particular vintage because, again, I think it's probably sold out. So, again, another reason why we check before we want to go find something or go to a winery thinking we're going to get that. Call ahead, email, something. If you have something very specific that you're looking for, that you want to try, because then it just eliminates a disappointment.
And something that we should identify, because Arizona's kind of a younger wine region, it's they're not producing at these large scales, but that's also what makes it special. So there are lots that they create, or I'm not thinking of the right word, but there's only so many that they can create. So
Right.
it may not last that long if it becomes really popular.
Exactly. The acreage that's planted is not huge, so like the smaller upcoming regions, a lot of it is consumed domestically. And for us here, that would be in-state, although I know a lot of people, maybe they're snowbirds, come and try the wine, they love it, and so they take it back, or they do the shipments in the seasons when it's open for shipping, not in the middle of summer, for instance, which is another good point. We were talking about wine clubs and how do they operate and what do they benefit you.
Right.
And I would just say, if you like a winery, if you like their wines, join their wine club.
Yes.
Because you have so many member benefits. You get special bottles that are not sold to the public. They usually have parties, events for their members. They have, if they're in a different AVA, they come to Tucson or they come to the Valley, the Phoenix Valley, that is, and they have pickup parties for their members and little nibbles. You get to meet the winemakers, talk,
I love that.
specials, discounts on your wine.
It adds a little bit too to the wine itself.
It
the
does.
memory that goes with it. That's a great idea.
Yeah, I really love the membership program.
Awesome. So this
So
is
back,
room.
sorry, back
This
to
is the lighter of the reds,
It looks.
correct?
That's what it is. I was about to say. It looks light, color wise, kind of like how you scaled it, the lightest to the darkest of the whites, and what are we going to experience when we? To
right
me,
off the bat.
Yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Spice. I
Yeah.
smell spice.
Spicy.
Yeah, spicy.
Peppery.
Or peppery, yeah.
Kind of.
Peppery, and even though you get red fruit, it's a jammy red fruit. Like it's
Yeah.
can you get strawberry jam off of that?
Oh, yeah. 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 Smells almost like it would be sweet.
It does, doesn't it?
And it is a little bit sweet. I have yet to master.
I know. I've got the drools. It isn't quite.
I've got.
I brought a napkin.
Okay, I have yet to
I
master.
dropped mine. I've got.
Our viewers are going to have fun. But it.
So even though you made that comment about
Right.
it almost tastes sweet, the perception is kind of sweet, but it finishes very dry.
It does.
does.
It finishes dry.
Yes, finishes very dry, and that's what I really enjoy about a Grenache. And I think I talked in your previous episode how much I love Grenache, or Garnacha, as it's also known in the Spanish word here.
Garnacha.
It's
Okay.
very interesting. Is there generally like a beginning, middle, and end to most wines as far as the taste profile? Because it
When
tastes
they're
very,
well made, yes,
Uh-huh.
definitely.
Okay.
And that's when I talk about like the characteristics, the complexity of a wine. when they have those 3
You should taste
palate
them.
levels clearly defined in your sip.
Very
So
interesting. And the
if
cheese.
we're getting peppery. Should we try the pepper jack
I don't know. You think the pepper jack or the Gouda?
or the Gouda? Let's try both.
You can never try too much cheese.
You can never try too much cheese.
What are you thinking? I forgot to take a piece of the Gouda. I'm sorry.
I like the pepper jack, actually.
I'm not as fond of the pepper jack with that as I am with the white, but I think it's personal preference. I'm going to try the Gouda. I kind of like the Gouda with it.
I do too. Even what stays on your mouth after having had a sip,
Yeah,
you can taste it when you try the
Yeah.
cheese.
I
love
like
it.
that. I like that wine though. That's
Yeah.
It's got a lot of flavor to it. It's so
Isn't it lovely?
yes.
And it looks like it's not going to have that much body because of the color. Because the body in wine usually comes from extended skin contact and vinification methods. And you get that in these darker, more opaque red wines. And this was fairly light in color, but it packs a punch.
Yeah,
was
no,
lovely.
It's very good.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yeah, always one of my absolute favorite grapes.
So
Very nice.
tell us about the Malbec, because on our chart, and by the way, I picked up the Garage East, but you picked up the wines from Atlas Wine Shop and the Wine Collective in Scottsdale, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So-
was lucky to find a good selection of Arizona wines in those wine shops because you're just not, well, that's not, okay. Take a step back. Pardon me. You can find them in some supermarkets
Right.
and some big box stores.
But not like you can find at
Some of not that
These-
selection, and also I like we're talking small producers for the most part here.
Right.
I like also supporting local wine shops. So
like Garage East
like Garage
in Gilbert.
in Gilbert.
And then the Wine Collective in Scottsdale. So tell us about the Malbec.
So this is a relatively new winery. We talked about it on the last show. Omphalos, Tom Messier, and his wife Teresa are graduates of the Yavapai
Wine School.
Wine School.
Okay.
And he recently won the Governor's Cup for not this wine, because this is a single variety, and I found a single variety. He had a blend, and it was available, but I thought it would be more interesting to have a single variety and really hone in on this Malbec grape, which is a Bordeaux grape, and also everyone would maybe know it who's into wine would know that it's one of the major grape varieties in Argentina.
Oh, wow.
Okay. Because I think it really has only been 5 or 6 years that I remember first seeing Malbec. Now it's been around a lot longer, but I've just seen a lot more of it, I guess I should say.
So I smell plum.
It's very dark, as you can see, with
Yes.
our white background on our tasting mat. So compared to the previous wine, which was very dominant in red fruit, this is going to be very dominant in dark fruit, black
Okay.
fruit.
And it seems
So-
drier to me. It's a little bit drier.
Probably.
You're ahead of me.
Oh, you've
I
already
saw you try it.
you've
I
already
haven't tried this one
tasted.
yet. I smelled it, but I haven't tried it yet. And I'm just teasing you, by the way, but wow, I love that one. I just feel like I shouldn't be spitting it out.
Well, in the interest of safety
I know.
and driving home.
driving home,
And
yeah.
driving home. We need to, but.
Right. Yeah, it's
See, another
very
reason
good.
why you plan a wine trip that has
Where you can stay. And
some type of accommodation where you can stay.
now I just tried a little bit of blue cheese with that. It was interesting.
Okay, I'll try that.
And what did you think?
I liked it. I liked it together. It was a little strong, but the wine seemed to mellow out the taste of it a little.
And salty?
And we do have those cheese and wine pairing guides too that are available on Arizona Milk Producer website.
And we'll make sure that we also link that chart
Okay.
and anything we upload.
Yes,
That's good.
for all of our listeners. That is good.
Very good.
What about trying that wine with the cheddar?
Oh,
We could do that.
Okay, we haven't tried the cheddar yet.
That was the Malbec. Okay.
I like that.
Yeah, it's good with that too.
Yeah. Cheese is cheese. Cheese is good.
Very good.
I like that
good.
combination.
Yeah. Good suggestion.
Very nice.
So we've got 2 wines left.
I was just going to say that. Yeah, 2 wines.
And we've been experimenting with our great domestic cheeses, our great Arizona wines. And what's next, Valerie? What should we learn about this next one?
So our next wine is a Tempranillo,
Okay.
and it's made by Vino Stash Winery in Sonoyta. And Brooke Ide is also a graduate of the Yavapai College and a fantastic winemaker. Tempranillo is one of those grapes originated in Spain and does very, very well because of the similar soils, similar climates here.
You know, I have a story to tell about my dad. He did a similar thing with pistachio trees. He compared the climate, the arid climates in Iran and Iraq where pistachios grow, also Israel. They thought, we can do this here. And that's one of the he not exclusively. There was another gentleman at the same time in the 1970s discovered that this climate here in Arizona, especially in the Wilcox area, is perfect for pistachios. And
I believe it.
I also have a friend that just loves blending pistachio nuts with some of the Arizona wines that he really likes.
Blending them?
Well, I mean, eating them.
Pairing them.
Pairing them.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, yeah, pairing them.
Okay, I was
I'm
thinking.
still working on my terms
Okay,
too.
okay, got you.
Valley.
Got you
But
covered.
isn't that kind of fun? And
It
2
is.
Arizona, great Arizona crops grown in the Wilcox area, and there's a pairing there too with your pistachios. So it's neat. We discovered we can do what Spain does with a Tempranillo.
Tempranillo.
Okay. One of my first reactions is it smells very fresh, very clean.
Yeah, it doesn't quite have the dryness afterwards.
Okay, I haven't tasted it yet, but to me, this smells like a big bowl of blackberries.
Oh, okay.
So the freshness and the cleanness. Okay.
And you have that earthiness in there too. I can smell the soil.
Yeah.
A little heavier. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It has a lovely, lovely nose.
Very good. So what would go with this in our selection of cheeses that we have?
This might be a blue.
Might be a blue. I'll
It
try
might
it.
be a blue. Let's try it a blue.
That's the other thing. If you do your own tasting at home, because Certainly, you could do this at home.
Oh,
We
of
don't
course.
maybe necessarily have to have 6 to 7 wines at one time, but maybe 2 or 3, and get a variety of cheeses. Maybe where you go, like the Atlas Wine Shop, the Wine Collective, or Garage East. They might even recommend some of the cheese pairings, and then experiment.
Or go totally ad hoc. Invite a few friends over.
There you go.
Yeah.
Everyone brings a wine. Everyone brings a cheese, and then mix and match the cheeses with the wines.
That would be fun.
That would be fun. I liked the blue with that.
I did too. That was really good.
Could we try the cheddar too, though? Because it it is
absolutely.
also a
Try the
stronger
cheddar.
cheese.
And this is a mild cheddar, so.
It's a mild. I'm liking it.
I think
like
I'm
the
still
blue
a
better. I like
Blue.
the blue
I'm
better.
still a blue
Yeah,
person.
I like the blue better.
I kind of like blue with everything, so it doesn't always.
I love blue too.
match.
And by the way, blue goes phenomenally with a sweet wine
Oh, does it? Oh, yeah. With the
Yeah,
with the
because you're
salty
doing that
and the
super
sweet.
contrast, that sweet.
Oh, that would be a great.
Oh, and then throw in a piece of prosciutto or serrano
Oh,
ham.
yeah.
So this has been fun because you've been helping us really understand appearance, the nose, those aromas, those intensities. I feel like I have a better sense of this. So again, appearance, nose, and then taste, which gives you that balance or synergy, the structure, the flavors, refreshing. I am reading from a cheat sheet. But again, and then you can create these conclusions based on going through this process. And you're basically leaning on all of your senses,
Exactly. It's very sensory.
very sensory.
Yeah.
And taking the time and appreciating it, which is the other thing that's striking me about this. So you can come to really good conclusions, whether you like it, dislike it, or you're going to like it more because of the cheese pairing. So I love that aspect
Right?
of it.
Well, if you recall in our first episode we did, the whole, if you're into food and wine pairings, the harmony that brings things together and makes your food and your wine a song and really come together is just phenomenal. Because you can eat what you like and drink what you like. But when you have that aha moment, like, oh, this is fabulous. And then you go on, it's fun.
It is fun.
It is magical.
It is fun, and taking it very slowly and smelling and looking at the color and just, swishing it around. It really helps you appreciate all of the different senses that go into trying
And-
wines.
One other tip you gave us, Valley, is that if we need another sip of another liquid, it should just be straight up water.
Straight up water.
Don't have certainly flavored tea, because that's going to mess up the experience. But
Or even like a flavored or slightly flavored sparkling water. If you're going to do a sparkling water, just plain,
straight up,
Okay.
plain sparkling water. But the
And
best,
plain crackers.
and plain crackers.
yes.
Because they cleanse your palate. And then you can move on, especially after we've had a cheese, because you also have that lingering taste of the cheese in your mouth. And it just
Just makes
gets
a
everything
difference.
ready for your next.
And our last one.
Our
your
last
next
one
sip.
from Dos Cabezas. Love that family. Todd and Kelly Bostock. And he's really, to me, an artist about making his wines, and really is passionate about what he does. Is passionate for the industry too.
He's beyond an artist. He's a genius.
He is a genius.
I mean, let's be honest. The things he comes up with are
Amazing.
amazing.
Yes. So tell us a little bit about this then.
So this wine is a blend, and does it have? No, it has Tempranillo and Grenache, or as he calls it, we call it Garnacha, and 2 other varieties in smaller portions. But it really brings structure to, and all of the good parts of each variety come together and form this beautiful. And Todd's a master of the blending. His other Montaña, El Norte, El Campo, they all have slight different variations of blends, but they all go so well together. They're brilliant.
Wow.
I would have loved to have had a Kent Callaghan wine in here today, but there was none available in the local stores. So
Okay.
that
'Cause
kind of
he's-
limited us.
He's another genius, I've been told.
He's a genius.
Yes. So when it comes to making wine, so this wine, if I smell it,
You want me to say?
yes, because I'm
It's got a very interesting.
So the Tempranillo from the previous wine that had that earthiness jumps out. First and foremost for
Right.
me. And then the berries, the dark
okay.
fruit comes next. But it is very, very like fresh turned soil. I'm not a farm girl, but
So I was going to say, I
you
know I'm
go.
going to like this even before I try it.
I think you
Yeah.
should.
Okay.
Has a beautiful nose.
I like the sweetness combined with
From the
dryness.
from the Garnacha
Yeah,
and that
very good.
that would
earthiness.
be another blue that would go with
Okay.
it.
Have you finished all your blue, or do you have any left over?
No, I have blue.
Okay, so we'll try it with blue. Very good. The farm girl likes it. Well, the farm girl liked it all.
No, just such an interesting array, though, from the very light to the heavier, and such a mix of flavors, all from Arizona wineries,
All, yep.
which is amazing.
So again, just for our listeners and viewers, the approach to wine tasting per Valerie is appearance, visual expectations, intensity, the nose, aromas, and intensity, the taste, the balance. Taste, you should be feeling the balance, the structure, the flavors. Is it refreshing to you? And then what are your conclusions? Is it good? Otherwise, do we like it or dislike it? I liked them all.
Yeah, I like them all too, especially when you're pairing the right complement, and some for maybe a summer day or summer evening, and some maybe for a heavier meal. Or I
Right.
mean, they all were really good,
And excellent cheese.
and all domestic cheese. So,
Yep.
and of course, as you've said before, Valerie, that it's taste preference too.
It is, of
So,
course.
I mean, there's a lot of combinations we could do here,
Right.
cheese and wine. But they,
Yep.
great selection. Thank you so much for
Oh, my
picking
pleasure.
all these out.
And thank
They're
you for having me
amazing.
back.
And any final tips, notes, highlights? I just feel like I understand the whole approach a little bit more. And again, I think the more planned I am, then the more I might understand our Arizona wines, especially if I'm hunting for my favorite. But what final conclusions for us, Valerie?
The more you try and experiment, go to a place like the Wine Collective where they have tastings or flights or garagistas.
Yes.
They basically have their own bottles, but they have a few others as well that you can, if not available in a flight for a tasting, they have them for purchase. But experiment, see what you like, and then have an application for it. Have your
Yeah.
little memory bank or write notes. Always write notes
Okay.
because you can always go back to your notes. And I find that when you write something down, it sticks better in your head.
Right.
Your recall is much better after you've written it down.
That's a great idea,
Yeah.
and a great way to conclude
It
today's
is.
tasting.
And I think we should toast one another
Yes.
because Tammy and I know a lot more about Arizona wines. Oh. Valerie, you're a great teacher. Salute. Salute.
Thank you
That
so
sounded
much.
nice, didn't it?
It did.
Yeah, that was a nice clink.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me back.
Yes.